Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Monday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us. We appreciate all of you. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you in fan feedback for Syracuse Football's ugly 41-3 loss against Louisville, and Syracuse Basketball redeems us all with a awesome second half to come back and beat, what was the score? 75-60.
Drexel. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, a little bit of a bittersweet, but not really. More bitter. Let's be honest. Right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Just because it's early, right? So, like, it's a situation where I think there was a lot more people looking forward to, you know, seeing if Syracuse could get to a bowl game against Louisville this past weekend versus worrying about, you know, a Drexel, you know, second game of the season Drexel. I think that a lot of Syracuse fans, they assumed to win that game.
Drexel not terrible.
No, they're not terrible. I mean, Colonial, they usually have some good teams. Excuse me. Usually the teams that come out of the Colonial do, you know, at least have a chance to get that first round upset. They were 6th in the Colonial last year and made the tournament, but they didn't really come close to an upset. So, but yeah, still, nonetheless, a team that made the tournament last year.
Dylan Markowitz, if you didn't hear, he entered the transfer portal. He announced his decision Sunday evening on Twitter. So, with that said, you know, well, wish him luck with that.
There's some of these things that pop up, like him and like Russell Thompson Bishop, some of these other guys, where you kind of see it, writings on the wall. You know, Schrader's going to be there for another 2 years, with Jacoby and Morgan, Justin Lamson, and I'm sure they're going to eventually, you know.
Oh, that's my phone. You all know I'm diehard now, right? Why did that even? How come it's on mute? I don't even understand how that came through. Sorry about that.
Goes in good with the show, right?
That's right.
So some of these guys, you just know you can't have 5 quarterbacks in a room without somebody knowing, especially how easy it is to transfer now. Like, you know where you are in the pecking order, and you know how many more years these other guys have in the pecking order, on top of the fact we're going to recruit other quarterbacks. So I know that, you know, the media and some fans especially like to make big deals about these guys going to the transfer portal, but you see it more and more now, especially with the transfer portal being so easy. And yeah, I mean, it's expected at this point. What are you going to have a guy sit here and go 4 years, 5 years, his third string?
No, was he third string though? Was he fourth string or third string?
I don't even know. I just know Jacoby and Morgan was the guy behind, you know. So he was at least 4th string when DeVito was here, and then at least 3rd string, you know, right? So
yeah, true. So, anyways, wish him luck. It's just, you know, just obviously he needs to do what's best for him, and if he feels like he's had some help developing at Syracuse, and he feels like he's got a little bit more to offer, then that's what he's going to do. And this day and age,
and he's a passing quarterback too, right?
Right. And all of this
is just like DeVito.
Right. So it's expected. And, you know, people made a big deal about, it's a second quarter. Who cares?
Right.
I mean,
he's not a running quarterback.
He's not a running quarterback.
The direction our offense is going,
and
so he's going to go find a place where he can maybe play.
We've got 2, hopefully 3, but at least 2 games left. So we will go from there with that. So we are going to get into the coach montage here in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about, and yes, I'm doing it backwards. You know, one day off really screwed everything up. And we can all, once again, thank Joe for that. So,
hi.
With that said,
I got a great explanation.
Let's talk about Symbol Okay, Symbol is the stock market for sports that allows you to profit off your sports knowledge. On Symbol, you can trade sports teams like stocks, and every time your team wins, you earn cash. Use your sports knowledge on Symbol to buy low, sell high, and earn cash payouts when your team wins. Join the 7,000 plus early adopters who have started to invest in their favorite teams. Visit www.simbull.com today to create your free account. And when you deposit, make sure to use the promo code SD to make your deposit risk-free. Visit Symbol.com and use the promo code SD and your deposit will be risk-free. This means even if you lose money, Symbol will refund your initial deposit. No questions asked. Join Symbol and start investing and profiting from your favorite teams today. Also, get to your iOS or Android store, download the Spotify Green Room app. It is free. All you need is a username, email address, and a password to set yourself up an account. Once you do, you can follow us at Cuse Militia and sign up for notifications so that way when we go live, you will know and it will give you a notification. And we usually do this during fan feedback. You can get on there and listen to us live, or you can even chat amongst yourselves or request to speak and I approve it. A red microphone above your icon or on your icon will appear. Hit that red microphone to unmute yourself and say your piece. Go to your iOS or Android stores today. Download the Spotify Green Room app. It is free. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
Obviously disappointed about the football game. It got away from us extremely quickly, which is extremely disappointing. I thought we played better in the second half, but the game, by the time the third quarter started, third quarter ended and the fourth quarter started, based off of time and where we were at, it was a really, really difficult task. Disappointed. Definitely got to take responsibility for that and will. We need to be better and we will. Questions? Well, you guys get to look after it's all said and done. We got some people back, some people we didn't get back, but anytime you have a bye and a break in the action, sometimes these things happen. Mikael Jones is our quarterback of our defense. Losing Mikael Jones in a football game is like us losing Garrett Schrader, okay? Regardless of that, okay, you train people to be backups and you have to find a ways to not only improvise, but find a way to give guys a chance when you lose a cat. And we need to do a better job of that. I'm not going to share what I told him. The targeting was not a helmet-to-helmet targeting. The targeting was a crown-to-surface targeting, which means the officials felt that he was in the wrong tackling position and that he could endanger himself, which is the reason why he got thrown out.
Leading up to this game, you said that you'd be fortunate to win one of the next three, this one included. How do you feel about that sixth win, getting bowl eligibility, considering the next two are against teams that are right now in the top 25?
Well, I figure that those teams were in the top 25. We played other teams in the top 25, and we played them within 3 points. So I guess we're going to have to try to find a way to go out there and do it again with those top 25 teams. Sunday we start, and we're on the field on Tuesday and Wednesday. You can't change what we're doing right now. There's nowhere else to go, okay? Heels are on a cliff. You can back up if you want to, but you know the results of that.
Okay, Joe, not a ton of analysis for me, if you will, because the game was what it was. Like Coach said, it got away way too quick. It was if Syracuse and Louisville come to the center of the ring for a boxing match, Cuse goes to tap gloves and Louisville just throws a haymaker, says, "Get that shit out of here. We're not playing this. We're not tapping gloves stuff." And look, hats off to Louisville for the way that they came out, because that was the best game they played all year, and it was the worst game that we played all year, hands down. And they do it on Lamar Jackson Day, and I'm just like, whatever. But they were unprepared. Coming out of a bye, I expected more out of Syracuse. It's just unfortunate. So I don't know what else you can add to that, show, but feel free.
Yeah, it just we talked about this when we were coming up. We said that we were going to have to, stay with them early and make sure that they don't get out to a good lead and kind of stop any type of momentum they have, because, again, we knew with it being Lamar Jackson Day and them kind of being, backs against the wall with being able to. between that, if you're a player there, then that kind of gets amped up a little bit. But
Absolutely.
also the fact that if you want to, it was a key win for them to be able to at least. I mean, they're going to most likely beat Duke, so to be able to solidify the bowls this year, that was a key win. So they were on high alert all time. Like, let's go. And we needed to just break that early and kind of take their will away from them and not allow them to take the momentum, turn it into confidence, and turn it into what it turned into. We know we're a running team, and they just shut us down. And realistically, I mean, you could say that we weren't ready. Some people say, the bye week works sometimes. Bye week doesn't work. I know we were missing some key linemen with Blake and
Vetterello. Vetterello's out for the season. Penn is out for the season. Blyche, but Tisdale was.
They look at it. I think.
Joe.
Yes.
Okay, you're breaking up. So truth be told, Joe has no internet. Okay, that's why this is in disarray. it's why we weren't here yesterday. Well, kind of why. But everything you just said muted out. So go ahead. We had some key players out with Blyche, and obviously Vetterello was out for the year, right? So
yeah.
Go from there.
Yep.
You were saying.
And Mikel Jones getting tossed out too. I think that hurt us a little, but I don't think it really would have mattered. I think that overall it looked like it's just a bad matchup, and we needed to keep it close early, not to allow them to score. And honestly, as much as you don't want to make excuses, I don't think that the weather helped too much for them either. So you're looking at the way that decent defenses and decent teams with good athletes and good recruiting classes are going to play against us. And we're not good stopping a running quarterback with a good offensive line anyway. And then throw on top of that, I mean, they just pretty much did what Wake Forest did. Their guys beat us one-on-one because we had to move everyone in the box to stop their run. But when other teams do that to us, we can't seem to either complete a pass or get a guy open. So whether it's the play calling, the pass or the catch, it's a little bit of everything. But it just definitely from the get-go looked like it wasn't going to work out, and it was very hard to watch. Truth be told, I didn't watch really anything after halftime.
So before we get into Mikel, you mentioned him. I was in the montage. Louisville scored on its first 4 drives, a touchdown. Not just scored; they scored touchdowns. The first 2 plays of the game, we were talking about this in the preview. Worried about Jalen Mitchell having a game, and he comes out and runs for 67 yards on the first 2 plays, and. Yeah. That's over, by the way, that's over a half of what he totaled. So in the first 2 plays, he actually accumulated more than half of what he totaled for the entire game. But that set the pace. 3 plays later, Malik Cunningham runs it in. And, they did a good job with Malik Cunningham at the end of the day. But like you said yesterday, Joe, when we were talking, they held him to 19 yards rushing, but 6 is long, which was the touchdown. But you're playing that the whole game. So you're containing him, yes, but he goes for 200 yards through the air, and just the flawless first half that Louisville had, and just the sputtering on offense that Syracuse had. The stats don't jump out to you like extremely, impressive or anything, but with the first half like they had and the first half that we had, it's just a recipe for disaster from start to finish.
Yeah.
So
pretty much, yeah.
And Sean Tucker was held to under 100 yards, so his 7-game streak comes to of 100 games plus comes to an end. So let's talk about Mikel real quick. Look, a bang bang play. I'm not thinking that's targeting. Okay. When you slow any of these plays down, and this is kind of the problem with going and reviewing it, in my opinion, you slow it way down. And it looks bad. But when it's real time, it is hard for a Mikel Jones or anybody to adjust to a runner adjusting to him. So that runner came down. I mean, it could have, if that runner didn't come down, and I don't remember who it was. I assume it was Mitchell, but I can't remember. If he doesn't come down, Mikel helmet might not hit him.
See, that one's tough for me because, again, I think a lot of people, they want to equate targeting to, like, hitting their helmet to helmet stuff.
It's the crown of the helmet is the key to that definition.
But the crown, it's the crown of the defender player's helmet, not the offensive players.
Yeah,
so when it comes down to it, what they're trying to do is they're trying to completely get away with players ducking their head. Sorry,
dicking their head.
Ducking their head to where the crown of the helmet is. They're going towards like spearing somebody or aiming toward. And when I first saw it, I was like, what? And then when I looked at it, I mean, it was something that he didn't have to do. This guy was already going down. He was coming in to clean up, and he lowered his head into his side, into his ribs, everything like that. And I know that part of it is definitely, the security of, the player that's got the ball, but it's also, security of that. There's a lot of players that get hurt on defense, when they lead with their head down, not
it's
with
dangerous.
Their helmet up. Yeah, it's very dangerous. And, the thing that I think got me more than just that play was later on that night, I forget the first one. I forget the first one, but I saw 2 other games where players did the same exact type of thing in someone's shoulder pad or in someone's side. Wasn't even helmet to helmet, and they got ejected just like that. I mean, one of them was there's an NC State player. They got ejected. A secondary player on their defense got ejected by a similar play. He lowered the crest of his helmet, going right in and hit the shoulder pad. But he got ejected as well. So something that they're trying to completely eliminate is defensive players lowering their helmet to possibly get them their spinal injuries and to keep their head up. And the only way to do it is to completely just make it illegal, no matter where you hit the ball carrier.
It's got to be black or white, and I understand that. And in the thick of the moment, you're just pissed. Mikel's emotional. He's getting kicked out of the game. Obviously, it wasn't on purpose.
No,
it's just too bad. It's just too bad when you slow these things down. They always look way worse than what they are. And
right.
I get that's how we do replays and stuff, but. And I think you're right. I mean, I think it should be black and white. And as long as it's the same across the league, then the entire NCAA, then at the end of the day, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I like it, because that's how. Let's be honest. I mean, we're getting to the point where kids, even in Pop Warner, I mean, in a couple of years, none of them are going to be taught to lower their helmet like that. But that's what we were all taught. I mean, and I don't know how far back this goes, but.
No, I think that there's a lot of science and some medical stuff that goes against that stuff, and that's how they're teaching it now. To be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot more leagues that don't even play contact. I mean, we played contact at 8 years old? I mean, I remember going helmet to helmet at 8 years old, 9 years old, right? I don't even think I think it was younger than that. Some people don't go, helmet to helmet or pads until they get to school ball at this point. So, again, it's not necessarily the helmet to helmet to the ball carrier. Really, it's what it is when you look at it, just always look at it like, did he have to completely dip his head down, duck his head down, and pretty much aim the top of his helmet towards the player? Because if it looks like he's going toward the player when he didn't have to do that, then they're going to call it every time.
Yeah, and I guess they should. And as long as they do, then across the board, then I'm fine with it. I just think it's...
Absolutely.
I think here's what I think, okay? Because... I think the punishment doesn't necessarily fit the crime. You get ejected. It's not just a 15-yard penalty. It's ejection. And maybe that can be something that should be looked at. And you can make an argument for that.
Well, isn't he suspended for the first half of the next game now?
I didn't think so. I thought he was just ejected for this game.
Okay. I didn't know. Oh, no, because it's... I think usually when you get ejected, you have to wait a half, but because he got ejected in the first half, I think he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. So let's wrap this thing up. Bowl eligibility, dude. Obviously, it's looking dire. Okay. There's no other way to put it. If we're being honest with ourselves, I know you can go on Twitter and find those positive people that still think we're gonna win out. We're gonna win both of these games. But look, honestly, it's dire. And if you watched NC State play, they were excellent. This is a tough team. NC State is a tough team, man. So with that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that Syracuse is going to lose against them, and that should obviously not be the mentality heading into that game. But it is not looking great. And this was the one game I feel like we needed to have to obviously get to bowl eligibility, saying that mathematically that would have done it. But besides that, it was our best chance. So, I mean, with that said, like Coach says, your heels are on the edge of the cliff. You're going to step back. You know, they've got to figure out the passing. It's not great. And I don't.
That was
here's the thing, real quick, because I know you probably got something to say. Seeing that you started to say something, and I cut you off. So I look, when you watch it on TV, it's a little different than watching it obviously there, but to me, all the checkdowns and short passes that he was completing was because he couldn't get anything else, and he was trying to be safe with the ball. I just don't think that him just chucking it up or downfield would have been a great idea either, to avoid catastrophe in a game like that. So he was checking down. I mean, those weren't his first reads. He was holding the ball. And by the way, he didn't have a ton of time during that game. Louisville's defense was on him hard. I mean, he was sacked 4 times.
Well, they had 9 in the box almost every time.
Yeah. So
almost every single time. So I don't know. It was they just crept up on us, and maybe I don't know. Maybe these other teams will be a better a better matchup for us because they don't have running quarterbacks. But I'll tell you, I mean, if we have to do the same thing to stop NC State's running game, I mean, you saw the receiver. The receivers are big, they're strong, they make catches, and our guys are going to struggle with them, man to man, just on an island by themselves. And also too, I mean, our special teams was awful again. I mean, that was bad.
Well, that was what's his name?
Yeah, it was the walk-on, right?
Yeah, it was the walk-on, and
yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and I think I'm right there with you with Schrader.
Ian Hawkins.
Yeah, Ian Hawkins. I'm right there with you with Schrader as far as, I mean, I think it's more probably along the lines of either play calling or our receivers being able to get open man to man.
I think they were just blanketed, man. I just don't think he wanted to risk some of those throws.
Right, and that's the thing is until we get somebody in the room that can actually make plays and beat their guys, then on a consistent level, then he might. I mean, he's just throwing up YOLO balls if he throws them up. I think that there's still some stuff there that we're lacking. And
I mean, there was a couple drops too. I mean, who was it? Who was it that it just went right through his hands? He's wide open. Is that Luke Benson? Yeah. Okay, That's what I thought. So. Yeah, like that was like when you watch that game and you see that and you're like, oh, okay, we're never gonna recover from this. This is just how it's gonna go. So, by the way, Ian Hawkins for his first full game was averaging 29 yards a punt. So, he did have one good one, but I believe there was a penalty on that too, which is just a nightmare. So, anyways, let's hear from you a little bit because that's what we do here, and I just think it's fair to do. Robert, I'm right. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you might as well.
What we do, right? So
we're not just going to silence people because we didn't like the way the game went, right?
Right, exactly. Robert on Facebook, Louisville was ready. Cuse was not. Just sad. RG on Facebook, we done got creamed. Robert on Facebook, good thing. Another Robert on Facebook.
Is that all 3 of the same people right there? I feel
no. That's why I clarified that. These are
Roberts and an RG.
Yeah, these are 3 different people. Good thing they had an extra week to prepare. Now, Joe, that's the one thing that really bothered me about this is because we talked ad nauseum about the fact that we were going to come out from a bye and having 2 weeks to prepare, and what an advantage that gives us, and to hopefully get some guys healthy again and back on the field. And it was just the opposite. It was like they didn't have any kind of rhythm. They seemed lazy. I mean, I'm not calling them lazy. I'm saying the play was just a little lazy. And
right.
Coming off the slow start like that, it was just the exact opposite of what I would have expected. Now, how much of that is on the coaches? How much of that's on the kids? The weather, like you mentioned, was kind of bad, but
it was cold.
It was cold, right? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like raining or anything, but it was cold and it was
coldest
overcast.
Game they've played in this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
it takes a quarter to get warmed up, or half a quarter to get warmed up. It's already 14-3 or whatever it is. Then it's like, whoa.
Yeah. So I mean, with that said, Joe, I mean, I think that lays at the feet of the coaches, having them prepared, and they just weren't prepared. I mean, what do you think?
I think that everybody. I mean, it's the coach's job. He's the highest guy on the totem pole there, so it's his job to take his lumps and to take, be the scapegoat, so to speak. But we know that obviously it goes deeper than that, and it's his job to make sure that he doesn't have to eat crow and have to answer to our media and answer to this craziness by getting everybody else prepared. So whether it's indirectly or directly his fault, then we're never going to know. But he's the one that's going to take the punches on the chin for everything that happens. And it's up to him to make sure that he fixes the things that are causing him to get punched in the face.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's yeah. Right.
That's pretty much as easy as it go. I hate blaming one person, but when you're at the top, then you have to take it. Just like if you're a quarterback, you have to take it. But at the end of the day, it could be numerous things. But it's up to Dino to get that stuff fixed. If not, then it's up to him to get it fixed in the offseason.
Yeah. Steve on Facebook, make reservations for the toilet bowl. Need some coaching upgrades. Offensive coordinator must go. O-line and D-line was absent today. Thankfully, basketball is here. There it is. There it is. So
easiest go-to. Easiest go-to.
It is.
Thank God Syracuse basketball is here. And until football's gone and we get our first loss.
We'll have a rough stretch with that too. I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Happens every year. Con, oh yeah, but I mean that seems to be working out. Con 5-7 end, quite possible at Drew Cuse.
Going out on a limb there.
What? 5-7.
He's not going out on a limb.
Right, yeah, right. At Drew Cuse, stopped watching after 21-3. Decided to clean the garage and listen. Stopped listening after the third. Garage was equally as frustrating as the game, but I could do something about the garage. So,
hey, I like that out. I like that outlook. Very good.
Yeah. Game was at K. Nabiwaniak. Game was over when Michael Jones was tossed. The punting was absolute joke. Coley was picked on all day. Yes. And this was the first game this season where the tackling was really bad. Onto the ugly triangle stepchildren at North NC State. There was something in here I wanted to touch on. I think it was over before I don't think Michael Jones getting disqualified it made an impact, but it wasn't going to save the game if he wasn't disqualified.
Yeah, most likely not.
Yeah, I mean, it just was not good.
I mean, it didn't help, but...
No, right. Well, obviously. At Michelle A. Milou, everything sucked except for the super nice guy who streamed the game on Facebook for us. Well, yes. That guy is awesome. That guy is awesome, right?
There you go.
At Spudmall 5, coming off a bye week. How was this possible? Babers essentially had 2 weeks to prepare this game. As we were talking about, Joe, a 41-3 loss is unacceptable. Yeah, and I miss Eric Dungy, Andre Schmidt. That's it, literally. Yes, the 3 points, which also, by the way, was questionable. That was not great conditions, and that was a long kick too, was it not? Wasn't it 43 yards or something like that? Yeah,
but they were only losing 7-0 at that point.
Yeah, right. And you're thinking, okay, all right, well, I'll take the 3. It's fine. We don't need to do anything risky here, right? And right. That was it. Literally it. At Turf on Fire, can still beat NC State or Pitt, but what the F? Classic egg after bye. Coach and staff has explained do nothing to gain, leaving starters in the second half. Joe, that was a little bit of a controversy. I don't really have a big problem with it. I know that they were trying to get Tucker his 100 yards at the end of that game. That was obvious. What say you about leaving Trader and Tucker in there like that at the end?
Yeah, I get it, and I get that you want to keep somebody up at a certain pace and to keep them in, as long as Sean Tucker's relevant, then at that point, pretty much Syracuse is relevant, right? And I'm not saying that that's how the coach thinks and everything like that. And I know you never want to give up as a coach, but at the same time, there's got to be a point in time where, you just gotta take you can't take that risk. I mean, we're not going to know as fans, who stayed out there as starters that maybe shouldn't have been out there, that maybe they did something to themselves, or, they won't be able to play any of the other games. Like, we don't know. I'm just saying it's just a risk. I'm not saying it's the dumbest thing, and I understand what he was doing, but at the same time, even at the end, I'm like, man, what do you, what happens if this...
Right, but here's the thing. Nothing happened. But if something does happen, now that's all we hear about, right? I mean, if Tucker takes an awkward fall, or if he gets freaking blown up, or same for Schrader, I mean, obviously... no harm, no foul. Right?
Well, and that's the thing. You don't want to become that fan that's whining about stuff in hindsight when, it didn't happen, but it could have. Well, it didn't, like you said.
Right.
But
exactly.
I mean, everyone's got their own stuff as a coach, and everyone,
I mean, I for one was hoping Tucker was going to get his 100 yards. He came close.
Me too.
So
you know what? And if Tucker and Schrader were out there like advocating to stay in, and I want to come in, no, I'm not coming out, then that's a different story.
That's true.
But again, we'll never know. It's not our team, and no harm, no foul if nobody got hurt.
Right. At the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of is what it is. Okay. All right. We will be right back after this. As I mentioned, Symbol.com is the sports stock market app that allows you to profit off your sports knowledge. I'll get it out. There are two ways to make money on Symbol. First, every time your team wins, you earn cash. Second, just like the stock market, if you think a team is going to increase in value, buy low and sell high for a profit. Use the promo code SD to make your first deposit risk-free. That means even if you lose money or decide the market isn't for you, Symbol will refund your initial deposit. No questions asked. That's www.simbull.com, Symbol.com. Go there, sign up today, and the Spotify Green Room app. Go there to your iOS or Android store, that is, and download the app. Once you do, all you need is a username, an email address, and a password, and you can do your own thing there. You can actually start your own podcast from that. You can sign up to have your session recorded, and it will be emailed to you. You take that email, recorded email, and you go ahead as an MP3 and load it right into a podcast hosting site, and boom. You got a podcast. You can be just like me and Joe. Okay? So, download that today. Go to iOS or Android store. Yeah. Go to the iOS or Android store today and download that Spotify Green Room app. Okay. So, Joe, a little bit slow start to the game last night for Syracuse basketball. They might have been caught off guard a little bit. The defense wasn't there. I think they just didn't seem like they had a ton of energy at first, and Drexel was nailing not everything. It went 7 for 17 from 3, which is pretty good in the first half. And we were down by 1 heading into the locker room at the end of the half. Come out, tons of energy. The defense just was amazing. I think they caused 12 turnovers, I think, just in the second half, if I remember right. And we did get beat on the boards, 30-26, but I know Buddy was Ken Palm's MVP according to his his algorithm there, but with 23 points, which is great, and him and his brother combined for 37. So Jimmy with 14, but to me the standout's got to be Joe Girard, dude. I mean, 8 for 8 in the 2 games. He's 100% from 3 right now. He's just playing excellent basketball. And at this time last year, he was already getting the business from everybody. I mean, so, I mean, but I mean, I think Joe is evolving into what I think Syracuse fans kind of expected, as Buddy is. To be honest, from my point of view, Buddy, he started exceeding my expectations probably about halfway through last year, if not before that. But this thteam, and Cole Swider too. I mean, dude.
Oh, Cole Swider, he had a great game all around.
Yes, he did. I mean, in they're just this team has got a lot of potential with a lot of new pieces. To be playing, in my opinion, this good, and like I said, we deal with the game that's in front of us, and right now it's Drexel, right? I don't care, where they stand at the moment. That's who we played, and that's what we're going to talk about. But
Right.
this team, I think, we don't know what their ceiling is, right? I mean, I think we kind of have an idea of what their floor could be, but I don't know, and that lays on the defensive end, in my opinion, but we don't know what their ceiling is yet, So I feel really good about it, heading into, Colgate and then Atlantis.
Yeah. Well, they all can shoot basically for the most part. They weren't lying about that. And when Boeheim said, that in the storied little short whatever series they had on Cuse.com, when he said this might be the best shooting team he's ever had, like, he might not be lying. And
yeah, no kidding.
It's just, seeing all these players doing all that stuff, and like I have a feeling that this is going to be a lot of the box scores, whether win or lose. Who's the SU MVP? And you're going to try to look across the thing, and is it Buddy with his 23 points? Well, I mean, what else did he do? Oh, well, Jimmy did. Oh, well, Cole had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals, right? There's 3 or 4 people that are worthy of saying, okay, this guy might have been the best player in the game. So it's good because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of guys that are selfish and they pass the ball around, and you got to hope that they just group together and learn their defense. And then second half was definitely, when we went down 1 going into halftime, I'm like, oh God, here we go. But we do know that we usually, in these type of games, we can come out slow, especially, first couple games against the mid-major teams, and usually they go into halftime, and whatever Jim says to them gets them going, and usually they make the adjustments to the 2-3 zone. And we saw that. We're talking about 15 steals, really, 20 turnovers. That's ridiculous. So, we went in there and they, made adjustments, and then the biggest thing to me is that, like you said, none of them are selfish. They're all very coachable. They're all very knowledgeable. They played with each other a lot, been around each other a lot. So those are the type of teams that can do some special things. Now, obviously, they have some things that they need to figure out, and some shortcomings, and maybe some lineups against some other teams. But so far so good. I don't want to get too cautiously optimistic, but I think I'm right there with you. I think we kind of know what their floor is, but the ceiling,
there's no telling. When they get this defense right now, traditionally speaking, Syracuse's defense, especially with new pieces being plugged in, it's always awful. As far back as I can remember, it's always awful to start the year. And then the thing about coaches which is why I hate the criticisms all the time of Coach, is that he's usually got these guys pretty ready when it's important. This team, I don't feel like they have that big of a learning curve on the defensive end, with Jimmy in there for one. And Cole, has he really had an issue? Has Swider had an issue at all, really, getting used to the 2-3 zone? Maybe a little bit, but nothing significant that I've noticed. And the one still, to me, is Jesse. And I just think that he's just got to get a little stronger and everything. But he's still holding his own in there. He's not doing terrible. I think,
yeah,
four blocks, yeah. So,
and Frank played pretty well too. I just think that when it comes to the 2-3 zone, I feel like everybody looks at it like it's just supposed to look the same every game, and they're just supposed to figure it out, right? Like, there's some teams that they don't have the personnel to beat our zone, period. Like, you can come in and you can be like, God, we have to play our absolute worst, 100% worst game ever on offense for this team to even have a chance, because they don't have the personnel, they don't have the height, and they just don't know how to beat the zone, pass around, and have patience for the zone. Then there's other teams that just have not every piece that you need to beat a zone. So right now, Cole Swider, he could get away, and Jimmy Boeheim, they can get away with certain rotations and certain things where I'm sure Boeheim and some of the other coaches see it, but he got away with it because nothing bad happened. So the fan, the naked eye of the fan doesn't see it, but some of these other guys do. So when you look at the 2-3 zone, it's a team to team, like, day by day basis. Like, it's a matchup game, and what we did against Drexel may or may not work against Colgate, and we may have to make some adjustments against them. That's just the way of the 2-3 zone. But until we see enough different teams with enough different combinations, then these guys are still learning new stuff every single game. So it's going to be a learning curve until, like you said, you get further into the season, and that's really what it is, because you get to the conference play, and these guys have played against the 2-3 zone, and they coach against it, and they know where to put people and how to beat it. So you need to figure out, and then that's where the chess game really happens. So non-conference is just figuring out against, random opponents. But the ACC knows it, so you got to get your rotations down by then. So again, we're going to get to a point where we really see how good this defense is. But a little small halftime adjustment and a little bit of talking to last night was all they needed against Drexel.
Well, they've got enough tests coming up where, and like Mahir on Facebook says, lots of thoughts. First, this was a great test. And I do think it was. I think Drexel is pretty good. They moved the ball very, very well. I said that. They moved the ball very well and got great looks and knocked it down well. Great adjustments by Cuse in the second half. Jimmy B is impressive. The ability to use both hands is cool. And that reverse was beautiful. Benny Williams, certified pogo stick. Dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Someone else mentions it. We'll get into it. Buddy Boeheim, still a bucket. Out rebounded by Drexel. Not good. Jesse and Frank look good. The last 2 turnovers of the game were not fun to see. JG3 hasn't missed a 3 all year. In the 2 games, to be fair, but true. 8 for 8. Sucks the next game isn't for about a week, but lots to work on and get better at. Yeah. So, there's a lot there. He's always got a lot, but let's take this. Let's take, as far as Drexel as a test for you, Joe, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into that until I saw them. They're actually pretty good. I think it was a good test. And what's going to be the better test, Drexel or Colgate?
Oh, probably Drexel.
Yeah, probably.
It would be my opinion, but, again, I mean, I think Colonial is a little step up with the Patriot. I know there's some good Patriot teams that come out of there and can beat teams from the Colonial, but I would overall say, I mean, you're going from, just a different type of league versus a team that, I mean, obviously you could tell the difference between Lafayette, and I think you'll see it from Colgate, that Drexel's just a more athletic team that just gets up and down a lot faster and makes you run, and they're not afraid to take those shots and make them. They've been there in the tournament where they know that they're not going to back down from a big team just because of their name. But I mean, obviously, you still got to go out and hit the shots. But I mean, you saw a little bit of the swag yesterday, especially at the end of the first half, where it was like, okay, like they feel like they belong, whether they're winning.
They weren't intimidated at all about being in the dome, about playing Syracuse.
Then that's what I mean, is it was a little bit of a different feeling, I thought, than Lafayette, and we'll see with Colgate, but I thought it was a different feeling just upon how they came out and kind of stayed in the game and then took a little bit of a couple punches, and then they came back and they knocked us down before the halftime, and took the lead, and they were like, see, I'm here, like, don't sleep on me.
Yeah.
And we came back in the second half and we took care of business, but they had to wake us up first, and they're a team that's good enough to wake us up. I don't know if Lafayette or Colgate is.
Jesse on Facebook missed both games. Question: what's up with Benny only taking 8 shots in 2 games? Only played 8 this game, so seems like a more normal rotation. Is he not a bigger part of the offense because everyone else is just really good, or is it playtime or what? Cause for concern later on, or we look good? These are questions. He hasn't seen the games. So
right.
Benny, I think he's right where he should be right now, and he's only going to get better. And as he gets better, coach will use him more. And I trust coach's decisions on these things. I don't ever question it. I mean, I watch the game, so I don't question it, but I understand where Jesse's coming from. But obviously, coach is going to play the people that he thinks can win the game. And with someone doing, what's he, 40 in his 47th year of doing this, something like that, right?
Right.
So 46th. I just trust him, but I think Benny's going to get more playing time. We're 2 games in right now. I don't think it's a cause for concern at all as far as he goes. Obviously, the kid's freaking talented, and when he sights it in, it's going to be. He's going to be there, and he's going to be there. He's going to be on the court, and we're going to have fresh legs, and it's going to be hard to play. The 7 or 8, at the end of the day, I think you're going to see an 8-man rotation, which is a little abnormal, but I think it's going to be more regular this year, or could be, as the year goes on, right? And we haven't had that in a while. So
no, yeah, and I think a lot of people have to understand too that Benny, he was a high recruit and everything, but like at this moment right now, and I'm not talking about can jump higher or more athletic or who can win as a sprint down the court. Right now, Cole and Jimmy are better players than him.
Right.
He doesn't seem surprised that he's coming off the bench. It seems like, he kind of knows what the deal is. He knows next year it's going to be his team, and I think that the coaches are just trying to get him as well prepared to be able to be help and a factor in some of these games down the stretch. There's no doubt he's an athletic freak just by that block, right? But you can tell that his shots are kind of flat, and sometimes he's moving a little bit too fast, and that he's just things that he got to clean up. Everybody knows and everyone remembers those freshmen that come off the bench and they take those bad shots and then right back to the bench because you're not out there for that, and it's not your time yet. And based upon our starting five, like, we don't need somebody that's going to come in and shoot a bunch of shots. We need somebody that's going to come in and kind of fill the role and play their part. And that's kind of how Boeheim, he's still old school about it. It's not, you get the mellows every once in a while, but with the roster that we have, like, it's a situation where they can kind of slow play Benny because there's no reason to force him in there. Let him go in there and let him learn. Let him
let him make the mistakes now and figure it out. Get yanked and get yelled at. Get the typical, you're not knighted on this team until you get the glare. So go out there, let him make mistakes and get yanked and learn from it. And that's just...
Yeah, and then again, like you said, Boeheim's been coaching his team longer than either of us have been alive. So I think I'm going to take his word for this. And I also have a little bit of, talking about going out on a limb. We're going to hear this, right? That we're going to get losses, or Jimmy or Cole are going to play bad, and they're going to be people talking about we should be playing Benny, right? Or Benny should be starting over Jimmy because, he's only starting him because he's Jimmy's son and all this other stuff. We're going to hear it.
Sure.
So, just get prepared. Benny's a good player. I think that he has all the tools to help us. If he grows in a fast way, then I can see a situation where he could maybe come off the bench or start for somebody. You never know if injuries happen, but I don't think he was lied to, and I think that he knows that next year is his year, so he's just trying to be a factor this year, hopefully in a special year.
At Damn to Win on Twitter. Good early season test. Another one. This is Neil Adler, by the way, from Inside the Loud House. Great defensive adjustments. Centers were solid. Glad to see all 8 primary rotation players getting good run, and Cole stuffed the stat sheet. Oh, and Joe is going to shoot 88.88% from 3 this year, Joe. Buy, sell, or hold. Do you think Joe can shoot 88.88% for the year?
Is that his prediction?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If that's his prediction, I want to know how many attempts he has before I answer that question. Because if he's only putting up 3 or 4 a game, then maybe.
Well, if we know the Joe Girard that we know, he's going to throw him. He's going to throw him up.
Well, and that's why
especially if he's off.
Yeah, but right. Hey, look, shooters shoot themselves out of a slump. That happens. Buddy does the same thing. But
sure.
I think that a lot of this, people, when you talk about, Joe getting the business around this time last year, I think that people were like happy about his freshman year because most times people are patient about a player, especially a 3-star, right? But at some point, like every single game, I think it probably still happens, but at least every single game for the past 2 years, all people have talked about. You hear a commentator every single time. What do they talk about? When they bring at some point during the game, they talk about Joe Girard and his scoring record in New York State and how he scored all these points and he averaged over 50 points. And that was what it was. He came in to be a point guard. He didn't come in to be a shooting guard, right? So all these people were coming in like, he scored 2,000 for 4,000, however many points, average 50 points a game. He should be lighting the, and
then he took the school's football team and won a state championship.
Yeah, right. You hear that every single time, right?
Yeah.
So now there's this huge, he's a great captain and he's a great leader and he scores all these points and that's my expectations. Maybe he might play football too. And I'm just joking. People didn't go out that far. But I'm just saying, there's a situation where he was expected to score a lot of points. When you score over 50 points, but he got brought in to be a point guard, and I think to your point, he's starting to look like a point guard, and his stats are starting to look like a point guard, and all really, to another person's point, I forget the post, but they talked about turnovers at the end of the game, and I know it can get sloppy at the end of the game, but you got to clean that stuff up. As long as Joe can become stronger with the ball to where he's not getting turnovers on a consistent basis, then I already see the progression.
Yeah, the end of that game got sloppy, got a little lazy. Could have probably beat the spread. I think it was 20. I can't remember. But with it is what it is. So it's just a stat. But coach is going to address that for sure. So
how about those centers, dude?
One thing too, real quick. The there's something to say for, Joe, he would get a lot of attention last year, and sometimes when Buddy would get the attention, it'd all be on Joe. Well, we don't have that this year. We're not going to have that this year. There's too many good shooters. You can't stop them all. And so as long as Joe realizes his role, which I think he had a little bit of a tough time. I think he was playing a little bit too much hero ball. Sometimes when he was off, he would just, like you said, try to shoot himself out of a slump. But he doesn't have to do that. It's not all on him. And it's not all on Buddy. And that is going to be huge, I think, when we go into ACC play, because ACC is going to be tough, bro. I know that Florida State lost, but I guess Pitt lost. There's been a couple upsets, but
a couple of bad losses.
Yeah. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and he's going to get shut down. Buddy's going to get shut down, and it's going to be one of the other, it's going to be Jimmy Cole or Joe stepping up when Buddy's getting shut down or having a bad night. And I think we can do that. I think that's going to be the difference this year. So, with that said, I hope. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, well, I think some of it has to do with the fact of last year. Like, his freshman year, he didn't really have anybody behind him. Last year, he had Kadari. So I think that...
Right. And we got
partly because of no fans, and then partly because of the fact that he had somebody that everyone was clamoring for to start over him. So he was probably trying to do a little bit extra to prove that he's the one that's supposed to be out there, and he kind of didn't really hit the mark all the time with that. Forced some stuff up, and which in turn forced Jim to bring in Kadari for him, and then you kind of made it look bad. I think last year was kind of a just kind of a tough way of letting Joe know that this isn't how you play point guard. And every time he messed up trying to keep his spot, he brought Kadari in. And, it was kind of tough love type of situation. And I think that he got the message.
At Oil Cuse, this is the hottest take of the night. And I appreciate Captain Patrick for bringing it. Okay?
Okay, Captain.
Our buddy Captain Patrick. He says, we look good in the second half. And Joe is a turd. How about that? Yeah. So that's really good. Put a lot of thought into that, and we appreciate when you guys come here.
Thanks.
When you guys come here and put a lot of thought into stuff like that.
Kick
at Oil Cuse. At Cuse Daddy 44, boy, let me tell you how many new Syracuse accounts, or maybe they're not new, pop up all the time. Okay, it's insane. I guess probably every fan base has these, but anyway, first half was alarming, but we turned it on in the second half. Buddy can absolutely ball. Benny with another big block. Just started listening a couple weeks ago. Oh, new fan.
Nice.
Daddy Cuse loves it. Go effing Orange, baby. 2022 Natty Champs. Calling it now. F yeah. So our boy
hey,
Tony's going to be upset with me saying F yeah when he spelt it out, but that's how I'm playing this one.
That's
Joe's about to die. Joe's so close to death right now, too. You good?
No, I'm not. Will you stop it? Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Hold on. One more, because he's in the green room. He's eavesdropping like a creeper. At Cuse Waterboy, love how the team came out of the halftime locker room and turned it on. We've got so many shooters, but seeing the improved center play from Edwards and Anselm will be the true X factors. And sweet Jesus, that block by Benny. Man, can that kid get up. Excited for what's to come. I don't know what you all saw, but from my angle, that was like, he was up there like 12 foot.
It looked like he could have hung from the top of the backboard,
yeah,
bro.
I know.
Like, that's what it looked like, for real. Like, straight up from the top of the backboard, that's what it looked like. I don't know how like you said, when he keys in on certain stuff, he keyed in on that, and he came all the way across the other side.
Clean.
Jump. Oh, like a kangaroo.
Yes.
Right up. Boom. No soup for you. Like, it's going to be good. especially when he figures everything out, obviously. But those two centers really, they look good too. I like the confidence in both of them. I mean, obviously Drexel's a smaller team, so there's going to be teams that have bigger guys that push them around a little bit. But just the fact that, they were just confident, went in there, got blocks. I mean, Anselm played great. They both looked really, really good. And I know it's only the second game, but it's only Drexel, and I need to be able to see it more. But I think that we'll be able to figure something out between those two in the whole, bringing them in and out. I don't think we're going to have to rely on Buddy unless we're playing against really, really short lineups. Not Buddy, but Jimmy playing in the middle. But those two to me look like they're going to be able to figure it out, at least to give us some defense and really even offense. I mean, they both scored all right too. So it's obviously still a work in progress. It's hard. I don't want to react after two games because obviously we're an overreactionary fan base. But
I think most are, but I agree. Anthony is in the green room. What's up, dude?
Dude, what are you calling a creeper, man? How do you think I got my wife? Stockholm syndrome.
Giving away your secrets?
What do you mean? Did you
got it, man? That's why I'm listening.
No, it was
your
good.
Wife have a podcast in the green room too?
Yeah, I know, right? Just me breathing heavy as I'm trying to do tricep pull downs.
Hey, I appreciate you for popping on. So give us
I finally figured out the stupid app, man. It never tells me you guys are on half the time.
You're not signed up.
I am signed up. I get the alerts and everything, and they don't come through. I looked at the clock, and I'm like, I bet they're doing a podcast right now.
Oh, so you didn't get an alert? You just popped on to see?
Man, I downloaded that app like 3 times.
Man, that sucks.
I blame Bezos, man. It's his fault.
Well,
him and his little penis rocket.
Oh boy. So
you can bleep that or let it go. It's up to you.
No,
well,
that's staying.
I try not to add any extra work now that Giovanni is in college now. I knew that there was a couple young kids listening back in the day. My son was one once in a while, and his friends. So they're a little older now. Gio he's off. He's off to college. So that's when the swearing stopped getting bleeped. To be quite honest with you.
They'll be fine. I read this study about how people curse have higher intelligence, and it just validated everything I do on Twitter.
I want to see who put that out. I'm not buying that.
Trust. Yeah, 100%. Higher intelligence and creativity. I'm one of the most creative guys you know.
Well, if that's the case, that's true. So give us by the way, I had your comment ready to go before I saw you in the green room, but give us your synopsis. Let's work back quickly, if you have time, to give us your synopsis of the basketball team, and then let us know what you think going forward for the next 2 games for football. So start with basketball.
The basketball team, I've been saying it for a while now. Like, I really wish more people would take up weightlifting or working out in general, because the impatience of the fan base drives me insane. Even they live and die by every possession. Let the guys develop. Let something build. My God, man, let's judge everything at the end, not in the middle of a game with a whole half left. Patience, people. Everybody breathe.
Yeah, it was only 1 point. It didn't look great, but you got to have a little bit of faith, right?
Yeah, I want to see how they come on the second half. You can make adjustments. You can get motivated. You get fired up. I'm sure Coach had a talk with them. Let's just judge it by the end. Let's judge it by the result. Don't put everything on one game, one possession, one half.
How do you feel about the new pieces coming in? Mainly, obviously, Benny Williams, Cole Swider, Jimmy. With that said, Samir, I want to see more from him. I said a couple episodes ago, I think we will. He's going to have to develop a little bit, but
he played better.
He did play better. He did, but I want to see more.
I love the pieces, man.
Right?
Swider, Jimmy is polished. People forget, he played at Cornell. He was one of the top players in the Ivy League. This is some Bush kid coming in. This is nepotism. The kid can rebound. He can pass. God forbid he grew up around basketball. He grew up around the Dome. Swider's been great. I love Torrance coming off the bench too. He has that extra get up and go, and those buckets are going to drop eventually. He's just having a hard time at the rim right now.
Yeah, he's energetic, and he'll get it. I think most of it's probably nerves. He's just trying to settle in, and he's not getting a ton of minutes right now. But With that said, Benny Williams not getting a ton of minutes, but making the most of what he's got. Like Joe said, his shot's not exactly, it's a little flat, but all of the other little things he does, obviously it's going to be excellent to have him in that role next year and, for real, right? And
I think the biggest thing is chemistry. Like all athletes say it, you can't quantify it, you can't see it, but you know when it's there, and it makes such a difference. It's such an intangible, and they have it.
Absolutely. So, all right. With that said, let's switch. Let me hear your thoughts on the football game. There's not much analysis there in that game, but just going forward, you obviously feel free to add what you want. But going forward, how do you feel next two games?
I mean, as bad as that was against Louisville, they basically just never got off the bus. Like, it can all change with a win against NC State. Like, people forget. Like, your best opportunity is the next one. Go out and beat NC State. Louisville's forgotten about. Beat NC State. Beat Pitt. Beat one of the two. It's all forgotten about. Just, like I keep saying, I want to judge it all by the end. What happens at the end? Everybody wants to fire Babers right now. Like,
I know, it's
let's
ridiculous.
see what happens at the end of the year. Like, everybody calm down. It's not happening. It's not happening right now. No college team generally fires their coach in the middle of the year unless, even if they, bring recruits out to hookers or something. It still doesn't happen.
Right.
Or you sign up fake classes. That doesn't happen either.
It's a good thing Syracuse Twitter doesn't get to make big decisions for either one of these programs because, Twitter's not real life, right? Is Twitter real life? Like, I go on there and I just want to jump off a cliff. I do. It's so depressing.
I absolutely love Twitter. I love Twitter to death because I've saved so much money on pre-workout. It's insane. I love just getting into arguments with people. It gets my testosterone just to a boiling point. And then I come to the gym and I feel great.
Yeah, maybe I need to try that instead of just...
It is when you make of it, man. It's with anything. Like,
I try not to go on there unless I'm either going back to get feedback or it's live during a game.
Yeah,
that's like what they say. Don't take life too seriously sometimes, right? I mean...
Don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive. One of my favorite quotes.
That's what they say, right? So... And you're exactly
right.
You
go and think you're going to have a crappy time. You're going to have a crappy time.
Yeah.
Yep.
What'd you say, Joe?
I was just saying that Cuse was exactly right with what he said about this team and like especially with football. Like you're at 5 wins. Like first off, fire Dino. Like what was the over under in Vegas? Like 3 wins, and there was a lot of people that didn't even think we were going to get that. Right here we are sitting 5-5 with 2 games left, and again. If you would have told anybody, or if you would have asked any type of Syracuse football fan, hey, if you go 6-6 and go to a bowl game, is that a successful season in your eyes at the beginning of the year, or even 5-7? I think that a lot of people would say yes. So we saw what he did. Absolutely. He made a tough decision. I think it was 3 weeks too late, but he decided to go with Schrader, and now you see the direction they're going in, and I just think that everything that has happened this year, he deserves another year. Especially, people talk about that buyout too. So there's that too.
Yeah, you're going to get hated for that. I know. It's like, I'm not a coach apologist for either one of the programs, but I call it like I see it. Any last words, Anthony?
I want to see people get back in the damn dome, man. Tickets are so cheap. It's ridiculous how we can't get people in there. It's mind-blowing to me. And I'm pretty vocal about it on Twitter. If somebody has a kid that needs a test or something, I'm your best resource. I'll get you there. Like, just get in, man. Like, support the team. Like, whether you hate coach or not and you don't agree with what he's doing, like, support the kids, especially against Pitt. The 6-year seniors, like, go support those guys.
Yeah, there needs to be a big turnout for that game. It could, very well come down to that game. That's definitely possible.
I think it's going to.
And, to have that game in the dome. And I actually picked preseason for them to win, to beat Pitt in that game, but here we are. Pitt's a little bit better.
I can't wait till you boys. I can't wait till you boys can get up to a hoops game too with the new scoreboard. How they lower it, I got great seats at the last game, like front row, and my eyes, much like at Cowboy Stadium, kept drifting up to the scoreboard watching the action. I'm like, this thing is sweet.
Oh, instead of on the court, you just find yourself watching the scoreboard.
Yeah, because you get to see like the angles that you miss being that close. Like it's just,
right.
It's just the atmosphere. It's gonna be so awesome once we pack that place.
All right, you guys heard the man. Get to the Dome. I mean, we've been pushing this, and I feel like a hypocrite pushing it because we're not in town and we don't go to many games. So it's good to get you on here pushing it, and it's good to see it on Twitter. I know you do really make the valiant effort, and I do think that Syracuse fans are going to show up against Pitt. And that game is going to be, is that a Saturday night game, or we don't know yet, do we?
We don't even know yet.
Announced the time yet.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that would be nice if it was, but I don't know if it will be. But anyway. All right, Tony.
Yeah, and if somebody doesn't have anyone to go with, hit me up. You can come sit with me. Like, make a new friend. Like, let's go. There's good people up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Awesome. Well, hey, I want to see you back in the green room, man. All right, don't be a stranger. Figure your app out, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous.
You figure your app out. My phone works fine, man.
You're probably
I get to watch adult videos quite well through the Wi-Fi, so I don't know what you're doing.
Well, I guess that just works better. Maybe you're better at navigating that than you are the app. You ever think about that?
I'm very good at navigating that. The trick is never click on the stuff on the banners. Always stay in the middle, and you'll be fine. You won't get a virus.
Okay, sounds good. With that said, Tony, thanks once again, making everybody blush. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah. You take care.
Anytime.
See you, bud.
All right, bud.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
You too. Later. By the way, he sent Chris Bleich to our feed too. By the way, and I wish I would have thought about this while he was on. He's still there, but we appreciate that. He actually watched our Facebook feed for those of you who couldn't watch the game, and for those and Tony will let me know. He lets me know if people are going to have trouble getting the game, and getting the game, either football or basketball. And usually I get almost every ACC game I can find down here in Virginia. So anyways, appreciate that, Tony. Oh, good for you. So that's it. That's really all I got, Joe, unless you have any closing words for us.
No, I think we got previews coming up, I think, on Wednesday.
So we're going to skip.
We're good, right?
Two things. We're going to skip tomorrow. We're going to do a preview Wednesday for NC State and Colgate. And also, when things aren't so hectic with even just putting a show together and having to do both sports, the coach montage with our favorite, Jim Boeheim, will be back as soon as I have the time to get the coach Boeheim montage put together, because those are the funnest ones. Let's be honest. Once we can settle down and have some time to do that, those will be back. But until then, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like I said, Wednesday we will see you for NC State preview with our predictions, our always accurate predictions. We'll go live then. And that's it. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out. Tony, thank you.
Peace.